back to BZmiatas. Today we're doing more work on Poe. It's going to be part 4 of this series, and the goal is to get it up on jack stands and track down where our major oil leak is. It doesn't seem to happen too much as the car is just sitting here, but when I turn it on and there's actually pressure running through everything, it starts to pull in about 5-10 seconds. It's constantly dripping. The car is driving great. I do need to work out the pinion issue I'm having after converting my rack to manual, so we're going to rip that out as well. But to start, let's get this thing up on jack stands, get a look underneath. Alright, so we're under the car. We are looking at the front of the pan there, and then back, that's the starter. And so most of the oil seems to be concentrated. It's kind of hard to see, but the filter is right up there. But it's all over behind the filter too. So I don't think it's actually the filter itself that's leaking or a seal around there or anything. I also had a major power steering leak before I depowered it, so everything up front is pretty nasty. Overall, a lot of cleaning to do. At least our rack is clean from before still, so that'll be okay. Let's get to work. Alright, I started degreasing everything underneath, but it's going to be a lot easier if I take off the air intake. Will give me more light, and I've disconnected the battery so I can remove the alternator, because that'll give me a lot more access because it's right there basically underneath the intake, and should be pretty easy to remove and reinstall later. Alright, here's our alternator. You can see it's got some pretty heavy grease caking in there. We had to remove intake manifold brace. This is just 3 14mm bolts, real quick. A lot of people say they don't even put that back in. I think I will, just to make sure everything stays strong. Alright, it's the next day. We're going to start off with cleaning this support brace and our alternator. Then we'll work our way under there and clean more. Now that the alternator is off, we can see that our oil leak is coming up there, and it's actually coming from not the filter, because I change those regularly, but the oil cooler itself has a seal. So this section right here is the oil cooler, and then right where my finger is where the seal is against the engine block. And that's been leaking for quite a while. This can be seen by all the grime that's built up. So I have a new seal on the way, but before that gets in, I want this all cleaned up. Even though it'll drip when I drain the oil and then take it off, it'll be better to have all of this rectified before I try and put in a new seal and get some grime in there and ruin everything anyway. So let's get down to cleaning this. Alright, so I've just made the decision. I'm going to pull off all of the wiring up front here. Get that bracket off too. As the car is like this, I'll probably be changing out these green coolant hoses, as well as probably the rest of the coolant hoses, as I have a full set of black ones to put on. Alright, while it's draining, I'm going to get into getting the hoses off, up at the top at least. Alright, well, I got my friend Mike coming over, and I think we're going to go ahead and remove the air conditioning system from the car, the compressor, the condenser, the dryer, everything. It'll really simplify things, get stuff out of the way, and since I don't have the working controls for the AC, I have to do the bracket up in a position I don't want it on my new dash. I think just overall not having it will really make my life easier. So tomorrow we're going to dig in and remove it all. Yesterday was really successful. Mike and I were able to pull everything out of the engine bay for the AC system, as well as some more coolant lines. We started cleaning up a little bit, and I still need to power wash some, but I'll take you through it right now. Alright, so today I want to start with pressure washing in here, because that's where the AC compressor had a lot of gunk built up on one side of it, and that'll allow me to clean up really well. I want to get this bracket off. They used to hold the power steering pump, but it's blocked with that last bolt there. I can't get it with anything as long as this part of the cooling system is in, so I'll have to remove that out, and then we should be able to clean it up. power washing the engine bay again. Spent a lot of time scrubbing and cleaning up my garage floor so that I don't get absolutely disgusting every time I lay down there. Fortunately, there is a lot more stuff still in here. But engine's looking clean. Needs some detail work in there. We're really happy with how this is turning out and all that I got done today. Now that we have the garage cleaned up and these parts power washed, we can go over some of them. So this is the bracket with those 4 bolts that bolts into the block, and then it holds the AC compressor with the 4 long bolts there, which are these. This was for the power steering pump. You can see it's got a sleeve in here that I didn't bother to knock out because you can just back the bolt out and pull the whole bracket off once you have these 2 undone and once this inlet housing here for the coolant is removed. I still have to finish scraping off the gasket and then I'll have to go get a new one. And then this is the in-between for the lower radiator hose. Just the hard line with the 2 bolts there, some of the wiring for the compressor, and then I think I still have the compressor. Yeah, so there's our compressor hosed off. So those are the things we took off the engine, and out of all of them, only these 2 things and this smaller bracket will be going back on. Here in the engine bay itself, clean up the inlet for the water pump here a bit, and just overall got to clean up the block a bit more. Then we'll get to getting that rack out so we can get the pinion out. Down here you can see where I actually hit it with the power washer and where I missed. So it's kind of got like a little scribble effect all over it. I wish I'd washed a little more back here as it's pretty bad also. And I can get all that off by hand. Of course, it just takes longer. Alright, I'm actually start today by getting this steering rack out so that I have a little more room to work with. It's not really in the way, but it's gotta come out anyway. Alright, the steering rack is out. As you can see, it's a bit cleaner than most of the car, simply because when I did the depower I cleaned it all up. So we just have to get Allen there, Allen on the other side, and then we should be able to remove the pinion out of there. It's going to have a lot of grease in it, but we'll get that all cleaned up too. Now that the pinion's out, I can go get it TIG welded. I think that's where I'm going to end the video for today. There's just going to be way too much to do to try and shove everything into one video, so the next probably 2 videos I put out after this will also be on everything we're doing in the engine bay, if not more than that. Thanks so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Really appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye. Thank you.